Hey guys, check out these two HOLLEY HP 750 double pumpers, 4150 style carbs you see here on this tunnel ram. And you'll think these two carbs are different, but they're very much the same. Pretty much they carry everything identical as far as you know, internals and sizes and things like that. And you know, even though they look different, this one carries the old vintage classic decrement finish over this. That's the you know, more blinged up version. It's, you know, this more shinier silvery look with all the you know, all these accents, you know, in gold, which I think it looks cool and badass. But they carry two different list numbers, and basically the list numbers are just the color. Everything else is the same with these two 750 HP series carbs. This list number is the 82751 HP, and this one there is the 80528 HP, and that's just all it is. Those two list numbers just mean the silver and the classic decrement. Everything else, they got the down leg boost, the down leg style boosters in both. They got the same main body venturi size, the same throttle bore blade size and all that stuff. Everything else is the same. Although I must point out, these have a later style of end float bowls, you know, housings, where they got the little rib gussets on the ends and the HOLLEY logo up top, and this one's just the classic with the logo on the side there as usual. But pretty much they're the same deal, and we'll just go over some bits and pieces here and compare them, and we'll just compare them to the, you know, the BG, the Demon stuff that you see over here. That's an actual 850. If we start comparing a few stuff, you'll see here over the original 4150 double pumper stuff that's been around forever. These HP carbs that HOLLEY eventually produced, you know, came out with a more you know, more quality flowing main body. You can see here everything's curved and contoured down into its main body venturi, into the throttle bore down there. It comes stock with these down leg boosters. It does eventually come out with these screw-in air bleeds and things like that, instead of, you know, pressed in ones like the old school carbs used to have, the old school double pumper HOLLEYs. But then again, you know, it's got some clapped out stuff still. As far as, you know, look at the base plate, it's still just a cast alloy unit. You know, cast metering end plates, everything is cast. There's no clear sight, you know, glass on the end, on the bowls. And if we go over to Barry Grant, the Demon stuff, you can see here the end plate is inside there and it's billet. It comes with the billet base plate. It's actually a shorter carb as far as height, and just look at that. This one here comes with down leg boosters as well, drop leg boosters, and it comes stock with screw-in air bleeds and all that business. You know what I mean? Look at the main body on that, the finish compared to, you know, cast stuff. So we'll just compare this HP series HOLLEY. If you have a look at the top, and, you know, if you have a look at the width from there to there, as it starts contouring, there's still a little step, even though it's curved. And if we go over to the BG stuff, the Barry Grant, look how wide and gradual that curve starts from. It's just much broader from there to there, right? There's no step there, interference, and it just comes right down to the main body's venturi, and off it goes. Very similar if you have a look at that compared to what's happening here. you got to just ask yourself, what do you do when you port manifolds and when you port intake ports? You know what I mean? You don't want any type of turns and bumps and humps. You just want a clear, straight, gradual path entering to, you know, wherever it's got to go. And that to me is quality and badass. Now, this Demon carburetor is way older than these HP series carbs you're looking at here. So this guy here came out first. Even though these are old now they are. They've been around for a while, probably, you know, I'm not sure on the part numbers how old these particular ones are, but this series here, you know, you're probably looking at a decade now, where this thing here is anywhere up to 20 years from, you know, probably a good, you know, 15 years back. So you can see how advanced BG and Demon were over Holley, and it took Holley to have a look at what these guys were doing for them to, you know, wake up to themselves and start catching up with better flowing, you know, main bodies and bits and pieces, and they still couldn't even do that right. If you have a look at the screw-in air bleeds, you can see they're sunken in to the main body. They're well down there and they sit flush. If you have a look there with that pathway scalloped out, just to complement it, and they come out back then. The original BG Demon stuff, like this carb here that you're looking at, would have came down with this drop leg booster, like a down leg style, like that, okay? And now the later versions, if I'm correct, that are pretty much sold, if I'm not mistaken, under the Holley banner. The new versions, they've got a lot of these still new floating around waiting to be sold, and they're quite expensive still. And the later ones you'll see come out stock with annular boosters, but the original versions, the old ones, would be like this, okay, with those boosters. And if you look there, look at there, you know, the air bleeds there, and if you look at these, how, you know what I mean, they're not flush mount with anything. They're pretty much sitting on top of this housing there, and they've got a little scallop there you can see that complements it, but still, you know what I mean, even all these air, these bleed offs need to breathe and suck in. You can see there it needs to hop and dance around that, where this thing just shoots straight down and captures, and just, you know, just a better unit. What else can I mention? Look at the Holleys. They don't come out with any side clear sight bowls. No view there of what's happening with your bowls, where these come out with a large standard clear glass sight. Yeah, so also I want to point out, even your idle mixture screws, if you have a look at how tiny they are, you know, little screwdriver to do them, and that's just old school. And then if you have a look at what BG Demon did back in the days, look at their metering idle mixture screws right there, and that is for finger turn, and you can use a screwdriver. With this, you know what I mean, you need a tiny little screwdriver. Just little things like that. Now, I'm not bagging out Holley. I love Holley stuff, don't get me wrong, but you know, all their new stuff now, everything's like what that is, which was, you know, 15, 20 years ago for them. So all Holley stuff now, you know, they got the billet, you know, base plates, they got the clear sight, you know, view bowls, you know, they got this and that and that. But, you know, what I'm trying to get at, if you wind the clock back a little,
old school,
instead of these guys, you know, doing what they did, these guys were still trying to milk the market because, you know, it's branding. They still had that following where everyone's buying their carbs. So what they did was they still left a lot of old school stuff and only tweaked, you know, a few things like the main body, things like that, you know, eventually added screw-in air bleeds, you know, so you can precisely tune your combination. Where these guys, if you go back 20 plus years ago, they just went bang, you know, they just laid out the bomb. They just gave you everything, what everyone's doing now, back then. So what I mean by that is, look at that, high flow, contoured main body, screw in air bleeds, easy adjustable mixtures, clear sight view bowls, billet, base plate sturdy, nice and thick, billet metering end plates that are in there that are encased by that. Just things like that, you know what I mean?
Non-stick gaskets.
Where these guys, they still skimped on all that stuff back then. And then this carb, like these versions here, what you're looking at, these HP series, are still a good 5 to 10 years after that. That's you know what I'm trying to get at. So look at the differences. I mean, don't get me wrong. There's you know, there's nothing more cooler than a Holley also. But you know, I can't bag out these carbs, and I don't care who you are out there. You can't really bag these carbs out. These are the guys that set the trend for everyone to wake up to themselves and start building badass carburetors, right? BG, then Demon, then I think eventually Holley took over this mob. But what I'm trying to get at is, I run these carbs on my blown combination, which is 15 years old now, and I've never removed the carbs. Actually, we removed them once with BK just before we raced the thing in 2011, and BK just stripped them down, went over them, said, yeah, they're sweet, let's go, bang, bang, and we went out racing. And I haven't touched it since then, which is 12 years ago now. So yeah, 12 years now, I haven't touched them. And you know, me personally, I stand by these carbs because they've served me well. And I haven't, you know, needed to touch it or anything like that. I can't say the same for Holley. Like, I haven't had a pair, you know, where I've ran on a tunnel ram or a blown combination where I can say, yeah, you know, I've ran these carbs for a decade plus without touching them. But with this thing, yes. Yeah, so another thing with these early BG Demon carbs also I want to point out is if you have a look at the throttle blade screws, you know what I mean? Look at that. They're very much flush mount. And if I turn the throttle, you can see there, they're just quality screws. More so for aero, you know what I mean? Not to be restrictive at all. And if we take a look at this HP Holley 750, and just look at the screws on that, you know what I mean? Look how far out they're protruding. It's a little ridiculous, you know, come on. So just little things like that, you know. These guys here at Barry Grant at Demon, they basically built the badass carburetor back in the day, just off the bat. No waiting, no effing around, no nothing. You know what? Holley carbs, especially Holley Dominators, are cool, but come on, you got to admit, this King Demon, that's just badass. The King Demon that I did a previous video on, I grabbed that with the air cleaner. The gentleman chucked in this genuine K&N chrome air cleaner assembly with the element, everything, and I grabbed that off him for 400 bucks Aussie, which is like 300 bucks US, and that's just a bargain. I mean, just that's a couple of $100, you know what I mean? So yeah, that's awesome. And yeah, like I said, guys, don't get me wrong, I love the Holley stuff. I'm just trying to make a point with some of these earlier versions and just how late these guys, you know, came to the party. That's all I'm trying to say. And you know, for those guys that bag out these carbs, I don't know why, if anyone's bagging them out. A lot of guys stand by these carbs and will testify that, you know, they're the baddest carbs around if you know how to get on top of them and tune with them, and with all the sizes and things like that they come out with. You would even hear other guys with other, you know, channels out there, even Eric Wayne Gardner even, you know, swears by these carbs. I remember in one of his old videos, even he says, you know, his older BG Demon carb always outperformed any Holly on the same, you know, test he would carry that out with. So, you know, don't get me wrong, but yeah, with this combination, I'm almost there. I've got to finish off this intake, and it's going to run a pair of these HP Holly 750s. So I'm going to stick with 4150s with that large port deal. Check out that custom scoop base that I've made. If anyone's got a Hemi, this is what they want. How freaking cool does that look? Oh yeah, air grabber. Badass. Anyway, thanks guys, thanks for tuning in, and let me know in the comments what you guys think and your opinions, you know, on what I'm saying here, you know, with your experiences, or if you know anyone, or you know what your engine builders have said. You know, it'll be cool to know. And yeah, like I said, just basically, you know, these guys would have been the first guys, you know, on a production, you know, availability, high level of availability and production level. These guys would have been the first to come out with a revised true performance all-out carburetor, and then these guys caught up eventually. But nowadays everyone's doing them, you know. There's got killer carbs out there now, you know. You got APD, you got all these fancy billet machined carbs, you know. Basically whatever you want, it can get tailored built, but you just got to remember all those guys and all their, you know what I mean, inspiration have come from these guys. Then again guys, Holly's got heritage, right? Can't beat that also. Let's take a look at this. No way. Non-stick gaskets. About time.